Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, NFL divisional recap and the championship weekend predictions, as well as the national championship Clemson Tigers visit the White House, and so much more starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another exciting episode of Debate Amongst Friends. I am your host, the podcasting kid, the man who dropped bows and point up to the heavens. I am the Professor John Gotti, and always by my side, the quintessential podcasting beast in the Conqueror's Corner, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast champ, who's always oozing with machismo. Here's the real Slim Shady. He's gonna make everyone stand up. It's Doc Lesnar. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. I love the fact that you said slim, even if it was shady. That's fine. I'll take it. I'm doing good. How are you doing, though?
Always ready to debate, sir. Always ready.
Excellent. Excellent. And we got a short show, not too much short show, but I mean, I feel like this week wasn't too much going on. I mean, we had some expectations that were pretty much met, and then for some there were some expectations that were not met, actually failed, horrible fail. But we will get to that and so much more, I guess.
Starting now.
Starting now. But we went 3-1 this week.
I know. I mean, the haze got clear for your boy, the professor. I mean, he was feeling really down and blue. You know, like, it was just so much happening for your boy. And he came out guns a-blazing to phrase, of course. And, you know, managed to bounce back from a really weak first week of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean 0-4 to 3-1. I mean, what a big turnaround. Talk about most improved player out here. Player, holla, holla.
I quite literally stopped thinking. Well, I stopped. I should have just stuck with my gut instead of continually analyzed it. And that was the issue I had when I went 0-4. Because I had everything else right about being 0-4. Like, every little piece to the puzzle to lead to those teams to be victorious. I had that part right. I just didn't choose the right team.
Absolutely. You did a good job, man. Like I said, it was just a gaudy cloud that just rained terror on some of those teams. But, you know, it was okay. It was okay.
Shame. Some of them were disappointed. But let's talk about these divisional round games. We had 4 of them. Initially, sir, were there any of them that really caught your eye? You know what? Let's not even do that. Let's just go through each one of these. Because I know there was one that we were really disappointed in. Because that team just didn't even show up. I don't know what they decided to do. Maybe they were just trying to stay warm the whole time. I mean, it was a certain part of the eastern side of the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
but let's talk about our first AFC divisional game. We had the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
who's trying to fight its own negative history, because that was the story coming into this. Everyone kept saying, "Oh, well, they keep losing in the playoffs. You know, they just can't cut the mustard."
And I said that, so
You did. You did. You asked me before we went on, and you was like, "Oh, you should troll me about something." It was that.
I don't think so. I think it was something worse. I told you to troll me, and I'm sure it'll come back to me. But I think it was something worse. But I definitely understand what you're saying, and I think Andy Reid is so hard to pick him. But I mean, this week, Andrew Luck looked like Deshaun Watson from last week,
Yes. Yes,
so
they
that's kind of
did.
rough.
So we have the Chiefs against the Colts. Final score: Chiefs overtaking the Colts 31-13. 31-13. This game was over by
Yes,
halftime. Over at
yes,
halftime.
yes, it was, and the snow didn't help. The snow definitely didn't help, and the fans throwing snowballs didn't help either.
No, but I mean that's more of a throwback. Like we've seen stuff like that happen all the time back in the day.
Yeah, it took away from the game a little bit, but I'm glad they didn't have to, go crazy. And I don't know why people thought they could get away with it, where there's like a gazillion cameras all over the place, and you're gonna get spotted and you're gonna get caught.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you're
So
completely right.
now
I
you're just
mean, it
now
was
you're done.
definitely bush league of the Kansas City Chiefs fans to do that, but I mean, they, in their defense, I guess. I mean, wouldn't
Hmm.
you want to try to help your team win by any means necessary, to quote a certain Rook
Yeah,
from
but
a certain GOD stable?
they were throwing snowballs at the referees and whatnot. It just didn't even make any sense.
No, no, and that has no business, in our sport. Period.
Yeah, that was dumb. Didn't make any sense whatsoever. But I mean, the Chiefs really came out playing really, really good. I thought that they would slow down a little bit, but Patrick Mahomes really, when I looked at him, he looks like a young Brett Favre without the interceptions.
Yeah, yeah. Immediately people started to make that comparison well before the playoffs started. Actually, they was like, well,
No, this
which
game,
QB? No, no, we'll get to this game in a second. But like, they were like, which QB, closely reminds you of Patrick Mahomes, and everyone immediately kept going to Brett Favre minus the interceptions.
minus interceptions, yeah, that's absolutely it. Because I mean, he throws passes that you know I'll say that Favre definitely used to throw, try to squeeze it in. He has a gunslinger mentality, but
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that he has a stronger arm than Brad. I just think that the timing of the routes, everything that's happening in these plays, it's like almost perfect for him.
Yes. Yeah, I mean
So I'll say,
he's something special this season. I mean, we said the same thing about RG3 his rookie year. I mean, of course Patrick Mahomes isn't in his rookie year, but this kid give it a few more years. Like he has the raw talent, and he's showing maturity throughout the year. Think about how much better he becomes. 3 years from now, like he's gonna end up being called an elite quarterback if he keeps up the same pace and improve on it.
so this is what I'll say. All he has to do to go down in history as at least a good quarterback
Hmm.
is is beat Tom Brady one time,
Well, we're
and
gonna
that's
we're
this week. He got to beat Tom Brady one time.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about that after the other AFC game. But I mean, any other things that you want to talk about with this game? Like, what were you most disappointed about from the Colts?
I just think they got mentally beat. I could tell some of the coverage. There were a lot of coverage gaps. There were a lot of coverage mistakes. I know the middle linebacker we talked about last week makes a lot of tackles, but he got caught out there, hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, and he just got beat. And it's just one of those things that you just can't do. You can't have your eyes in the backfield because you got these fast receivers running around, and let's just say he got beat a few times.
And I know one of the things that we had a cause of concern when it comes to the Chiefs heading into the playoffs was the receiving game.
Hmm.
Whether or not they're all going to step up. But Travis Kelsey, the Duke's boy,
Hmm.
and I always tell him that too. I'm like, look who caught that pass, and he's like, Travis Kelsey. I'm like, yep, your boy. I mean, he caught 7 passes for 108. I mean, he beasted.
Hmm.
He beasted. Like he pretty much caught almost everything that was thrown his way.
Yeah,
Incredible, incredible. And Tyreek
absolutely.
Hill is not getting enough credit for what he does production wise out there on the field.
Absolutely. Agreed. 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 100%.
But let's get
100%.
away from this calamity and let's talk about the first NFC divisional round game. We got the
Hmm.
Los Angeles Rams going against them boys Dallas Cowboys, which the Rams triumphantly defeated the Dallas Cowboys. Sir, what was your reaction with this game?
I mean, can we just say
How about them Cowboys?
so? No, no, no. Let's just say salty and sour Jerry grapes.
Ha!
I mean, J5's boys are not alive,
Nope.
and
No.
we tried to tell them. I mean, and it's so funny because moments, maybe hours before the game, there were rumors swirling of a of a Jason Garrett extension.
Like, first, before we get back to the game, let's just talk about that real quickly. How asinine is that? And I'm
Them
not talking
boys
about
won.
Dak. I'm talking about that.
Well, it stinks because I mean, you know how much I don't like Marvin Lewis, and
Mm-hmm.
0-7 in the playoffs. So I mean, the Cowboys finally get a playoff win. I don't know what Jason Garrett's record is in the playoff. It don't really matter. I just know that
It's
he's.
not good.
I don't
It's
think
not good
he's
at
the
all.
guy. I don't know what the Cowboys need for a coach, but what I can tell you is that it's not Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
And
their
and
their, their
To
playoffs is like terrible.
and To took to Twitter saying that Jerry needed to open his eyes really and look like this guy is not going to get it done for you. And it's probably something that To's been saying that for a long time because
Mm-hmm.
he wanted the damn ball,
Because that
but
that's that 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 was his quarterback.
right, and you're not going to talk about his quarterback like that who
Nope.
throws for Jason Witten all the time.
Which, I mean, and I believe it was Dion who said it after the game. He was like, that was their main identity for such a long time was, having that security blanket in Jason Witten, and he's not there anymore. And you can
Hmm.
see how that impacts the play calling, how that impacts the way that they play their game. But the real story of this game isn't about Jason Garrett, isn't about their
Nope.
offensive playbook. It was about the Dallas Cowboys defense getting mollywopped throughout the whole game. That offensive line from for the Rams were just playing nasty. And you know what? I loved it. It was amazing to watch.
So
The LA Rams defeated the Cowboys in their own game.
so let me ask you:
Ask me.
was it just me, or did it feel like the Rams ran the same exact play 40 times?
The Rams played. They pretty much ran like the same play real often, actually. Uh,
I
that
mean,
was that was something that I noticed like towards the end of the third quarter. I'm like, they're kind of running the same type of plays, minus
same
like a couple
exact
of those
play.
reversal jet sweeps.
I mean, the receiver went in motion every single play. I felt like
Yes.
every play, and then they handed it to Gurley, or they handed it to C.J. Anderson, who I said, I got a little flack on Facebook, just a little bit, that he looked
Yes, you
like
did.
a young Jerome Bettis. Now I don't know if that young man knows that Jerome Bettis played for the Rams at one point in his career.
Hmm. Oh,
But
the Cowboys since Jason Garrett was the coach, they're 2-5,
he's been coach for what, 9, 10 years?
9 years. Next year will be his 10th year. So
So
two and 5.
two years he didn't make the playoffs 2 years. Is that how it works? So he went to the playoffs
No,
7 times, 7 out of 9 years, but he's only won two.
no, he only went to the playoffs 3 out of 9 years.
Oh my God!
3 out of 9 years he made the playoffs. He won one playoff game in those 3 years. Well, two playoff games in those 3 years that they made the playoffs.
Wow. Wow. So let's just say that the Rams just they outmuscled them, and
Yes.
it just became too much. It became too much for the Cowboys.
Like the worst, it was on both sides of the ball too.
So the
Like
defense, and I think somebody mentioned it.
Ndamukong Suh had an excellent game.
He did, and I think a few people mentioned on your Facebook, post that the defense didn't show up, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought Jalen Brown, I believe is his name, the linebacker,
Yeah,
or Jalen Smith,
Jalen Smith.
excuse me, Jalen Smith.
Yeah, Jalen
I
Brown
thought
is the basketball player
he
with the Boston Celtics.
Celtics. Jalen Smith, I felt like he showed up. I mean, I know the coaches were yelling at those guys like
Hmm.
crazy, but I thought Smith showed up, and I couldn't believe Sean. There was a Sean Lee sighting.
There was a Sean Lee sighting. He was there. For some reason, they decided to insert him into the starting lineup and played him most of the game. And it was something that,
No,
of course, me being out here in Texas, they're going to start overanalyzing this stuff, so I'm going to hear this stuff. They were saying that
no effect whatsoever.
he had no impact on this game whatsoever. Now, had they
None.
kept Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch, together and not added Sean Lee to the puzzle, like maybe it would have been something differently. But for some reason, that combination of those three out there together, it just did not work. It
Yeah,
didn't work. I mean, and
yeah,
the less that I can say about that secondary, the better. Because that secondary, just like we kept saying for a long time, that secondary is trash. It's trash. Just straight
mm.
garbage.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it's tough.
I mean,
It's tough.
how many times do we see C.J. Anderson just like bring fear into the hearts of those DBs once he got up to the second level? Like it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It really was. But ultimately, the Rams won,
Yes, they did.
and
Yes, they did.
I don't think the score shows the actual dominance.
The score doesn't reflect it at all. Um, I mean, granted, the Cowboys did make a late run
Hmm.
towards the end. I mean, they scored 15 points in the second half compared to only seven.
Hmm.
But I mean, I gotta give props.
Absolutely.
You know, McShay had a heck of a game plan. Uh, Gareth Goff played the game that he needed to play, and as soon
Hmm.
as they started to see that the run was working, they just kept running with it, rolling with it, all game. Just keep rolling with it. Stop the run. If you can't stop the run, we're just gonna keep pushing it right down your throats.
And that's it.
And that was it. That's
That's how the
facts.
that's how the cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbled. We have C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley both go over 100 yards rushing.
Hmm.
Like that by for a playoff game, that's amazing.
It
Because
is.
you don't hear that anymore.
You don't. You don't. And I'm happy for them. I mean, they had a rough run last year.
Hmm.
And it's good that they won this year.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna see what they have to do in the how they're gonna play next week against
Hmm.
the team that won the other NFC
Hmm.
divisional game. But we'll get to that in a second.
Hmm.
So let's go to our third game. The first game on Sunday, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Go Chargers, go! Heading out to Foxborough to go up against the New England Patriots. To say this was a game would be a slap in the face to the Patriots organization. This was a burial. The man with three H's with a shovel, like put him in a body bag, Johnny. Like this was terrible.
Yeah.
Where were the
So
Chargers, sir?
let me tell you what happened. I went and laid down, to watch this game. Actually, I worked at church this weekend, And I came home. I made myself something to eat. And first quarter came around. I think I stayed up long enough to watch the Patriots score one touchdown. And then somewhere along the lines, I passed out and took a nap. And when I woke up, it was 41, I think, to 17 or 14 or something. And I said, what the heck? Like, what the heck? I was expecting a competitive game. It's very unfortunate that I fell asleep, but
hmm
I was expecting a competitive game. I know Philip Rivers was sick because, like I said, he's got kids. He got 9 kids now, and I expected him to do it for the ninth kid.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say.
But
What happened? Like,
but ultimately, there were some drop passes. Very, very, a lot of drop passes, I will
hmm
say, and I think ultimately that that caused them some issues.
well, and it didn't really help out too that they, passed the ball 51 times versus only rushing the ball 10 times.
Hmm.
Granted they were well behind the eight ball, but like, I don't even know if they really tried to establish some sort of run in this game.
Right, right. I think it ultimately came down to the fact that they fell behind, and that you just can't do that against Tom Brady.
Not at all.
You
Not at
just
all.
can't. So I
Not at
mean,
all. I mean, Tom
ultimately,
Brady pretty much had a clean game. He had no sacks committed on him, and he threw the
mm,
ball for almost 350 yards, 34 out of 44. I mean, he pretty much had a really clean game.
yeah, ultimately, I think that system is so hard to beat. They have a system, and we've talked about this several times. I think the Patriots have a system that you don't know if Tom Brady played in another system would he have ever been this good. Like we really, really
Yes.
don't know, and we won't ever know. But the fact of the matter is, I know we talk about LeBron going to 8 straight finals, but I think Tom Brady going to 8 straight conference championship games is
hmm
pretty impressive. In football, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, I know
Uh,
there was a debate earlier this week, actually on Monday,
hmm.
debating about which was more impressive: LeBron James going to the finals 8 straight times, or Tom Brady making it to the AFC Championship game 8 straight times.
It's big, man.
And of course,
I'm
of
gonna.
course, of course, they brought along Stephen A. Smith, and he said, LeBron James, and I don't know,
I
I can't.
mean, I think it's hard to explain because I mean, you're talking about what 82 games plus
hmm
the playoffs, so you're
hmm
talking about potentially for them. I mean, 86, 90. You're talking about 90 plus games, but I mean, we're talking about football. But the only thing about Tom Brady is that he doesn't really get hit very often.
Nope.
I mean, but it's tough. I mean, like I said, I give credit to both men, but I mean, what Tom Brady's done in the AFC for these last 10 years plus, it's been pretty crazy.
hmm
I will say that.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you. Now they
Yeah,
have
it's
a
been.
running game. Sony Michelle, ran like he lost his ever loving mind.
Yeah,
129 on 24 attempts, 3 TDs. Like, it was the Sonny Michelle game. Like, this was, like, if you didn't know who Sonny Michelle was before this game, you know him now, ladies and gentlemen.
I, absolutely, absolutely.
But let's get to our last divisional game.
Hmm.
We got the Fly Eagles Fly. Philadelphia Eagles heading out to the Big Easy to go against the New Orleans Saints, in which the Saints defeated the Eagles 20 to 14. And I believe we both said that the score does not reflect the pace of the
Hmm.
game.
Not at all.
Talk to
Um,
talk to the people, sir.
I I think ultimately the Saints saying that they came back from being down, 14. I think that's such an it's like an under and overstatement. It's like, yes, you were down, but it was early in the game. I mean, it wasn't, like I understand Drew Brees threw an interception in the beginning of the game, and things didn't look good. But I mean, it's the beginning of the game. I mean, I would be pressed to say things like that for a good team, especially these playoff teams, don't really hurt. I mean, unless you're playing against New England, like if Drew Brees was to throw, a pick in the first play of the game in the Super Bowl versus New England, I think it could potentially be over.
Yes.
But I mean, it's the NFC Championship. The Eagles' defense was skeptical. They were dropping like flies. Michael Thomas showed up and showed out. Kamara showed up, and ultimately Drew Brees showed up. Ultimately, also penalties really killed this game for both teams, but I think it
Yep.
hurt the Eagles
Yep.
a lot because
Oh my
even when the
gosh, I
Saints,
totally forgot we were supposed to talk about how certain Cowboys fans were saying that the Cowboys were getting no calls.
I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
didn't hear that.
That was
I didn't hear that.
hilarious.
I didn't hear that, but it's irrelevant. I mean, they lost. It's
Yeah.
over. If we want to go there, I would have to go back to that time I said that James Harden wasn't getting any calls. So, I mean, let's just move on. Because I could do that too, but I don't do that anymore. It's over. Just accept your defeat. There's no going back. So, I guess my main issue with this game was the penalties. That's what I was about to say. I
Mm.
think the penalties really hurt the Eagles. It should have hurt the Saints, but I think they really, really just got beat. Like the Eagles got beat, even though, like you said, the score was is not a reflection of the game. I think the Eagles really got beat. Even when Tatum Hill came in and threw a touchdown pass, it was just like, what the heck is
That was
going
like putting
on?
the knife into the back and twisting it.
I mean, you think about it. He had two big plays. He had the fourth down conversion, and he had
Yep.
the big pass.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just think
And as
the
far as the penalties to yards, Philadelphia had 4 penalties that resulted in 30 yards, and New Orleans had 11 penalties for 84.
but this is the thing I was saying though. So whenever New Orleans got a penalty, the reason why I say it hurt the Eagles was because it seemed as though whenever the Saints got a penalty, they converted the longer passes. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that hurt the Eagles in that particular sense, because every single time there's a holding or whatever, every time the Saints converted, I felt like, and basically got into scoring position on those particular drives.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
pretty
pretty
much
it
what
was pretty
happened.
ridiculous.
That is pretty
It was
much what happened.
ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I'm curious to see what happens with Nick Foles moving forward, though. He's a really good quarterback. I know a lot of teams are probably going to be, calling and seeing if they can steal away that $20 million man.
Nigga Jocks. Uh, mm,
Maybe the
man,
Jaguars.
man, that was a New York state of mind sneeze right there.
Maybe the Jaguars. I don't think the Giants would do that. I did see a ridiculous trade thing come up on my screen where the Giants trade Odell Beckham Jr. for Derek Carr or
Oh
something like
my
that.
gosh, I was like, what? When I
Yeah,
saw
it
that,
was something ridiculous.
I was like, okay, whoever wrote that down needs to lose their job immediately.
Yeah, who would do that?
Someone who doesn't like their job.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, but that's neither here nor there. What did you think about the game?
I mean, I felt like, I'll use it like fighting game terms. Like, I felt like the Saints spotted the Eagles 14 points. Like that's what it felt like with me. And you're right about them converting a lot of long third downs. They actually converted 25 first downs attempts for the game.
Hmm.
Uh, the Saints did, but like I really felt like after that first quarter, the Saints were like, okay, we gave them their mulligan. Now it's time for us to play ball, and that's pretty much how the rest of
Hmm.
the game just went.
Mm-mm. And that's crazy.
It is. I was like, wow, this is really bad. Like this does not make the Eagles look good at all. I'm like, Eagles stop trying to come back. Just it's over. It's over. Just accept it. Just walk away. Walk away.
Right. And the defense just didn't show up. I didn't think the pass rush, even though it had a lot of pressure on Drew Brees,
Hmm.
Drew Brees is just a good quarterback, and I think the Rams are going to have to really, really come with a lot of pressure this week in order to get the win.
It's going to be a very it's first of all, okay, so now we're going to talk about the conference championship games now. Both
Hmm.
games are must see TV.
Yes,
Must see TV. We have the number 1 and number 2 seeds in both conferences going up against each other.
it's going to be wonderful. I'm looking
It's
forward
going
to
to
this
be
week.
awesome, especially since
Mm,
both games, both each team has faced each other during the regular season.
that's right.
So we have a little bit of a taste.
Hmm.
But
It's
it's
going to
all
be good.
playoffs. You never know what you're gonna get. You never do.
Absolutely.
So you want
I
to
think.
talk some predictions, sir?
Um, let's start with the NFC Championship. Um, I'm gonna go with the Rams. I just think that their defense is gonna come out and really play. I think the Eagles gave the Rams a good taste,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't, and I like Fletcher Cox a lot, but I don't think Fletcher Cox and Michael Bennett compared to Donald and Dominican Sue and Fowler and a lot of these guys they brought in, and then the secondary. I think the secondary is tremendous, like we talked about last week
I'll
for
agree
the
with you as
Rams.
well with that.
So I'm gonna go with the Rams.
I was gonna go with the Saints. I feel like if they put Flowers up against Michael Thomas, is gonna be a long day for Flowers. He's gonna definitely need some
Hmm.
help. But I mean, people keep sleeping on the Rams, thinking like they're not a running team, and that was one of the things that I was saying after the game to the Duke. Like people keep sleeping on them, thinking that they're not a running team. Like yeah, they throw the ball a lot, but they can run the ball. They have some really good running backs, and they picked up C.J. Anderson at the end of the season. So that just re-strengthen their running back core. So I'm actually going to agree with you. I'm actually going to say the Rams definitely will win. This is definitely going to be a high-scoring game potentially, but I can see them winning it by at least between 3 to 6 points.
Sounds good. And on the AFC Championship, I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I think the Patriots got the best of the Chiefs earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really, really believe that the Patriots are going to have a great game plan against Mahomes. But I think this time, I think Andy Reid's going to finally make it to the Super Bowl.
I like that pick, sir. I really do. And everything you're
I'm going with
saying,
the Chiefs.
hmm?
I'm going with the Chiefs.
We got the lock from Doc. Uh, Everything you said is correct. This should definitely be the Chiefs' year. They should definitely make it to the Super Bowl. Um, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the MVP. There's no doubt about that. We already talked about Tyreek Evans. We already talked about Travis Kelsey. Uh, the defensive core is still really solid. Justin Houston is playing out of his mind. D Ford as well too, who is having a magical season. Like really not being talked about a lot, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going with the Patriots. It's still Bill Belichick. I mean, after seeing what they did to the Chargers, like they're gonna have a plan, and it's
Hmm.
not gonna be for the faint of heart. It's not gonna be the type of game that people are going to talk about and lord about for the end of times kind of thing. They're going to play Patriots football, and they're going to try to steal this win. So I'm going to go with the Patriots for this one.
That's good. It's a good pick. Like I said, it's hard to go against Tom Brady, but I feel like what we saw last week from the Chargers is like not even close to what we're going to see with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs defense is. I mean, although I like Derwin James and I like the defense that they have, I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like I just felt like the Chargers they just weren't ready. It felt like, and it's probably nothing to nothing against head coach Lynn, but I just felt like Andy's going to have these boys ready and they're going to come out firing on all cylinders.
I can agree with that.
We're
I
going
can
to see
agree.
the
Like I said,
MVP,
we're gonna see the MVP against arguably the greatest of all time when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL.
and that's going to be a
So
great
this is
showdown. I
this is
can't wait.
this is either going to be a passing of the torch moment,
Right.
or I mean we're gonna have to see. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see this game. I would not be upset if the Chiefs end up getting that dream come true and making it to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Especially if we have Chiefs versus Rams, like we both predicted, early on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna boo-hoo about that. But it's
Absolutely.
hard to count out Belichick. Like it's so hard to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, but I'm sure a lot of people said it's hard to count out Nick Saban, but you see what happened with them boys.
So that was the joke that I had, and I forgot to tell you this, but I'll also tell you this right now. For me, it felt like for this Chargers versus Patriots game, it felt like Nick Saban gave Bill Belichick a call, and he was like, "Big man, I know you saw what those Clemson Tigers did to me on Monday. Don't just sit there and turn into what my team turned into and get shellacked on national television. I need for you to sweep the leg." And Belichick was like, "What do you mean sweep the leg?" "I mean sweep the leg, Daddy-O. Sweep it and destroy those Los Angeles Chargers and send them all packed up."
I agree with you. I think it's funny because that was on yesterday. I actually watched it yesterday, and I just watched just to see him say sweep the leg. Um, but yeah, I don't know what happened to the Chargers, but better luck next year. Hopefully they're competitive. The Chargers have a habit of going far in the playoffs and then kind of falling off. So we'll see how they do next year.
Absolutely. They have definitely something exciting. We got to see what's going to happen in free agency, especially with their draft as well, too. And,
Hmm.
I feel like they're definitely going to bounce back.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, sir, were there any more coaching changes?
I think, well, I don't think the people actually got a chance to hear it, but we did talk about the coaching changes. I don't think we got a chance to post it because we had some technical issues on the Doc's part. But we did talk about the hiring of Bruce Arians. The Jets, I think, after the show hired Adam Gase.
Yep.
The Broncos hired Vic
Fan,
Vigio.
Fangio.
Fangio, Vic Fangio. Um, the Broncos, actually, the Broncos hired Vic Fangio,
Mm-hmm.
and then they hired, dang it, who'd they hire? They hired somebody else's coordinator, but it's not important. Um, the
Mike
Browns,
Munchak as the offensive
Mike
coordinator.
Muncher, that's what it
Offensive
was.
line
That's what it
coordinator.
was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. The Browns hired their offensive coordinator. Um, Dang, I can't even think of his name either. Lord, he has a weird name. Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchen
Kitchen.
as their head coach.
Uh, and then yes, and then we also missed. I think after the show, Greg Williams at that time was, I guess, in negotiation with the Jets, but now
Mm-hmm.
he is the Jets defensive coordinator, which is awesome. That is pretty awesome for him. And then I believe in this situation that former Broncos coach and the former Cardinals coach went to the Browns as a defensive coordinator,
Yep.
and the former Broncos coach went to the Bears.
Yes.
So the one thing I will say is that I love the fact that um, Bruce Arians is hiring a lot of first-year coaches. I don't know if people remember Antoine Randall L., but he's actually
Mm-hmm.
going to come in as an offensive assistant, as well as Larry Foote is going to come in as a coach. So shout out to Bruce Arians for giving people an opportunity to get some coaching experience.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that, we've been talking about, especially you've been very vocal about it for the past couple of years. Like, let's start giving some of these, young guys a chance out there. You never know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. But I think we were also going to talk about McDonald's at the White House because he's
Well,
loving he's loving it.
high times with fast food with Mr. Trump. How about that one for a headline, sir?
Gotcha. I mean, so I know you had your discussions over there. In the Doc household, we had our discussions. I mean, what was going on? I heard you had a debate with the Duchess about this particular situation. What were the stances?
Well, a lot of the stances were primarily on, you know, understanding that this is a government shutdown. Sorry, something decided to play in my ear. The people screaming in my ear already.
Oh Lord.
Doc, Prof, don't talk about it. No, we have to talk about it. I'm sorry. But government shutdown is happening. Mr. Trump came out of this with the kindness of his heart to pay for it out of pocket. And it was foods that the young men are used to eating. Was the primary stances for it. My stance was more, I mean, either two things he could have done. Either A, say, you know what, let's take a rain check for this until after this government shutdown is over. Or B, probably not do that kind of fast food. Possibly. I mean, Panera Bread is
So
still good.
yeah.
Red Lobster, Olive Garden. I
So
mean,
so what was the Duchess's take?
well, that was the first take was where the madam was on.
Is that they should have they should be happy with it, or I mean, does she think they should be happy with it, or
Yeah. Well, that and
wow?
well, she was basically saying that that she don't understand why players or people of sports get invited to the White House, and was questioning about the significance of it all.
And just to make sure here, so because I'm pretty sure you probably just lost me for a second there.
Yeah, I think we did, Chris. Even though we're audio right now, Chris is still
Yeah.
like hee 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 hee.
Okay. So, so initially, well, to answer her question, I guess people go to the White House. I'm not sure when that particular, I guess, tradition started. Um, but I mean, they made it a thing. People teams win, and they go and visit the White House. I'm not sure exactly when it started, but it's something that's been happening for years. Of course, there's been controversy the last couple of years where people have said, "Oh, hey, I'm not going." I don't really mess with the president like that, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So my initial take was
I believe it started with
that
President Andrew Johnson back
right.
in
Uh,
the 80s.
I mean, we even saw it in Forrest Gump. So I mean, you think about it,
That
things like that been happening for a while.
that is actually.
Yeah,
Wait, I think it's 1865.
gotcha.
That's what it is.
Uh, so my initial take was that I felt he could have just waited. You know, government shut down. He could have just waited, and it would have been all good. I don't think it had to be a rushed kind of thing. Like, hey, we're doing this whole shutdown thing. Hey, can we postpone this dinner until I can really, hook you up with something good? And then Mrs. Ocean, the doc's wife, interesting to say, she said, and let me know if you can still hear me now. I want to make sure
I
you can
can,
still hear
I
me.
can, wait, we hear him. This is live.
All right. She said The man has a hotel right down the street. He could have easily contacted a chef that's already on payroll for him and brought them in to cater a meal.
I believe the madam did talk about that. She was saying that that would actually cause more flack for Trump if he was to do that because now he's self-promoting himself.
But I
And,
mean, it
and,
wouldn't
and,
have
and
mattered.
going back down to it's a lose-lose situation no matter how you look at it for him.
But it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, because in this situation, had he done that, because you think about it, I don't see, and this is the thing, I don't know if he's using, as the government shut down, so I don't know exactly how um, the finances work for the president. Like when the government shut down, does he still get paid? Like I don't know how that works. But to me, he could have done a lot of different things. And even if he would have had his chef prepare the meals, even if he would have had his chef make the burgers, it would have been better than going and getting fast food burgers.
I can see that.
Like I think, and the thing about it was that my wife was saying is that a lot of people complained that the food was cold. There wasn't as much, there wasn't
Of
as many
course,
burgers, as
of
as
course it's gonna be
they've been
cold.
advertising.
Like I worked
There
in
was no
cold, and like of
Sterno.
course it's gonna be cold. Who knows how long it was? Like, oh,
Yeah. So.
like if you're gonna serve food for a buffet, and the food is hot, you put them on hot
Mm,
plates. You put them on
right.
steamers to keep them hot, or at least warm
Right,
enough to
exactly.
where people won't complain about. It was out there on platters.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah. So I mean, that's my take on that. I think he should have waited, until this whole thing blows over, just so they can get the meal that they in this situation deserve. You
Absolutely, and
know.
there's been a lot of backlashes from you know people all over the U.S.
Well, I think Michael Strahan invited the team up to Good Morning America
Hmm.
for food. You know.
Michael Strahan. Who else was it?
And he said
Michael
lobster.
Strahan, Aisha Curry, who is Steph Curry's wife,
Well, she was. She
and
probably wants to promote her own cooking.
what happened?
She probably wants to promote her own cooking. I get it.
I mean, hey, if it
Yeah,
works, it works. I mean, that's missed opportunities, right?
absolutely.
Isn't that what this nation is built on? Opportunities and risk, and also
Oh yeah.
Nick Kokonas, who is the owner of a set of 3-star Michelin restaurants, has extended
Mm-hmm.
out an invite to the Clemson Tigers team. In which he said on Tuesday, after the initial report came out, he said, and I quote, "I could care less about college football, but I'm personally inviting the Clemson Tigers team and coaches to Chicago to experience what an actual celebration dinner should be. I'm not joking. Someone let them know what the Alanus Group does. I probably said that name right. Alanus
Mm-hmm.
Group does. It'll be worth it."
Mm. I mean, the one thing is, I mean, I hope they. It's just supposed to be tradition, and I guess that's the part that's throwing me off. And I really wish he would have just waited. And I feel like he's just failed. And I don't want to get too political, but I feel like he's failed
No.
in so many accounts. And now it's like not only does Clemson not get a chance to eat, but now they talk about cutting, the little grammar and elementary school lunches. So it's just too much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on with this whole
Yeah, it's
thing,
too
and
much.
I can't wait to hear about this on Duke It Out to hear their take on
Absolutely.
it too. But like, I
Absolutely.
mean, for me, I'm just looking at it based off of like an operational standpoint. Like, if things aren't working as usual, like try not to keep pushing the envelope. Maybe it's better for you to wait about it, until things get better. Like, I feel like people will be a little bit more accepting about it. Granted, we're at a
Absolutely.
we live in a society now where people take everything the wrong way, even though it's not. It's like the furthest from being taken the wrong way, just for the sake of getting on World Star or TMZ or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
But
yes,
yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
hoping
I
that it
really
gets
felt
better.
like it. Yeah, it needs to get better now. And I believe the madam actually was saying, the Duchess that is, was
Hmm.
saying that the Clemson Tigers will be getting re-invited back to the White House soon. And I was telling
Fantastic.
her that at that point, I don't think any of them will come back.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You might as well just have waited. Like it would have been one of those things like in Forrest Gump where he drunk all the Dr. Peppers and they just went up and kind of shook the hand of the president. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like they could have made something like that where you just had light refreshments. Could have some fruit and vegetables, little bread tray, little crackers and cheese kind of thing. You didn't have to go all out, and then you invite them back for a meal when this whole government shutdown is over. You could have did something
Absolutely.
small. Give them a chance to be
It was
rewarded. But
it was a missed opportunity to show creativity instead of what happened, but that's here or there. That's just, a Doc and Prof's opinion about this situation. But if you have an opinion about this, if you agree with us, disagree with us, make sure you put it down there in our comments section, like and subscribe to the channel as well too out here on YouTube. And let us know your thoughts, please, by all means.
absolutely, absolutely. And I just wanted to take this quick time to give a quick advertisement and shout out to a local radio that I do happen to frequent, on because I'm local here. Shout out to Il McKenzie on Quarantine Radio. He does do his show Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30. I know he gives us an opportunity to shout out our show every time I'm on, so I definitely appreciate him. But also, if you're a lady in the Raleigh Durham area, we are starting a flag football team called the Gridiron Gang. First practice is this Saturday. And if you are interested, you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter or on Facebook, and that's at TL Double. Or if you respond to this particular YouTube, we'll also go ahead and reach back out to you and give you that information.
Sounds like fun to me.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a great time.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we are at Endgame. And like always, we like to provide for you our final thoughts for the week. And good sir, the doc, let's start it off. What you got?
Well, of course, I broke the story last week or the week before last that Jalen Hurts was actually going to be transferring, put in his initial transfer request, and it turns out that he has selected that he is going to go to Oklahoma to play under Lincoln Riley. Now, I think that's amazing. Of course, a lot of people thought he was going to go to Maryland or maybe Miami, but choosing Oklahoma is huge. I mean, that's huge, especially with the success that Oklahoma's had over the last couple of years. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be there. He's going to give them an opportunity, really to push for at least a playoff spot
Mm-hmm.
at Oklahoma, and I really really like that. And my last final thought. I don't really get a chance. I try not to at least talk about my Rockets as much because I know I go on tangents. But James Harden has moved past Kobe Bryant with 17 straight 30-point games. He dominated the Memphis Grizzlies last night, scoring 57 points. And a lot of people worried about how the Rockets would do without Clint Capella, who's out for 3 to 4 weeks with, I think, a broken pinky or a broken finger of some sort. But right now they're working it out. We're getting some players back healthy, and shout out to James Harden for just working hard through the injuries.
James Harden playing like an MVP, I'll tell you that right now.
Hey, he need to play like an MVP, and I think this year he's really stepped up his game. It's different from the Harden that we knew the last 2 or 3 years, where he started going through shooting slumps. Like this year, it's like I don't know what's different, but maybe because he tasted the Western Conference Finals and the finals is like right there in his grasp, and then he's a pulled hamstring away from being in the finals. So I mean, we're going to see what happens.
And Chris Paul might actually be expendable now.
I mean, we talked about that off the air. I mean, if it's me, I don't even know where I would even look to move. It's going to be hard to move Chris Paul. He's got that huge contract, but I think in the playoffs it might be better. It's good that he's out right now because hopefully they'll get a chance to rest him up and get that hamstring fully healed, so that when we hit the playoffs, it doesn't give out on him again. We can close out the Warriors and kind of go on about our business.
I can agree with that. And as we're heading towards the All Star break, we're gonna see if they're gonna try to. We're gonna see if your GM's gonna try to, do any wheeling and dealing to see if they can strengthen that lineup and see if they can find a way to alleviate some of that usage for James Harden. Because I know the one thing that you always complain about is, well, James Harden just got tired at the end.
Well, I think the other thing to keep in mind also, shout out to Daryl Morey and the signing of Austin Rivers. So that has been a major signing and a major relief. I would say Austin Rivers has been playing really, really good.
I can agree with that. He's definitely been a surprise. I don't think he really made a mark in the NBA since he came out of Duke. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, this is the type of system where you either, shovel up under pressure or you shine like the brightest star out there. And Austin Rivers is you lying, but I'm right.
Hmm. He looks good out there. I
He
think this
really
system
does.
works for him. Yeah, this system definitely works for him. So much better, and like I said, I'm happy to have him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other final thoughts, sir?
Nope, that's it from me.
All right. So there was a case of trolling a la trolling this past weekend. Well, this past week, in which the doc on social media got on J5 about his Cowboys falling to the Rams. But then J5 got his revenge on the Doc's Blue Devils.
Oh, that's what it was, probably. Maybe I don't know. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
He is a Syracuse fan, isn't
Yes,
he?
he's a big Syracuse fan.
I
As
don't think it matters.
Syracuse
So whatever.
defeated number one Duke 95 to 91. A game in which Duke was favored really heavily
Hmm.
to crush the Orange. Ha, see what I did there?
Oh yeah, that was good.
But Syracuse, well, actually, Duke managed to bring the game into overtime, but Syracuse was able to persevere at the end. Duke ended up losing their star point guard Trey Jones
Right.
out with a
Uh,
separated shoulder for an infinite amount of time. We don't know what the
that was
timetable for him
huge.
coming back, but that injury was brutal, ladies and gentlemen. It was pretty bad. Going down for a loose ball, and he just collided with a Syracuse player, and he looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Probably on purpose, but it's neither here nor there.
Uh, I see what you did there. But along with that, though, I mean, there was a couple of factors that led to the Duke losing. But I mean, first of all, shout outs to Syracuse. Jim
Hmm.
Boeheim definitely had a solid strategy coming into it, but the Duke Blue Devils definitely came into the game without their forward Cam Reddish, who missed the game with an injury, and R.J. Barrett just played pretty badly, actually. At least from three, 4 of 17. I don't know why you would shoot 17 times behind three if you only made four of them, and that's 17 overall throughout the game. But like at a certain time, like I would probably start trying to get back onto the line, trying to reestablish a rhythm. But that's just me looking at it. I mean, he probably felt like there was a lot more opportunities to do what he needed to do. Zion still doing Zion. I believe he actually had a minor injury. Actually, I believe it was with
Yeah,
his
his
finger.
eye
It was his eye. Yes, he left the game because he got poked in the eye. It
on
was
purpose,
Scottie
most
Pippen
likely.
actually. No, actually he got poked by a defender. But Scottie Pippen actually said that Zion should sit out the rest of the season to get himself ready
Wow.
for the draft. And
Dang, Scotty.
yes, Scottie said, forget Coach K, get your cash, homie, straight
Dang,
cash.
Scotty. Wow. Wow, Scotty.
I
I
didn't even know
so
if you heard
approve.
that though, but I'm like, I need to put this as a final note if you're not going to talk about it.
No, no, I didn't hear that. I heard them talking about the game, but I mean I heard Scottie Pippen talking about a lot of things this week. But I don't like that. I wouldn't like that at all.
But I don't think it had any impact on the rankings just yet. I don't think they did a new ranking yet, so they're still number one for the time being. We'll see what happens.
Well, they got that new ranking system now, so I mean hopefully
It's a weird
they don't
ranking
fall at
system.
all.
It's a weird ranking system. Like
Yeah.
they do some really weird stuff. And my
Yeah.
last final thought, for
Mhm.
those that don't know, there is always a charitable event that happens twice a year with
Mhm.
the Games Done Quick group,
Oh
which they
wow.
play video games for charity.
It's that time around. It's that time of
And
year already?
for this last week was the event actually. They managed to raise $2.4 million,
I feel
which
like that
by
comes
itself
around
is
so fast.
incredible. It does come by really fast, and I forgot to mention it to you too as well. But I don't think there were any games that you necessarily be really interested in watching.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I actually had a chance to watch a Vector Man speed run, which was actually pretty interesting. That's one of my favorite games as a kid, playing that with,
Mm.
my cousin out there in bleh, in North New Jersey back in the day.
Mm.
Late night before we played WCW NWO World Tour on the 64. I was playing Vector Man on the Genesis game. It was a lot of fun. But some of the highlights that I really want to talk about actually was one of the donators, which is actually one of the sponsors for the event, donated a grand total of $177,684 throughout the whole week.
That's crazy.
And that's crazy by itself. They had two donators. One of them is Games Done Quick itself, and I believe that one was all of the Twitch sponsors and all the Twitch sponsors and the subs and all the bits that was donated on the Twitch channel throughout the week. Which that one was actually the highest total count for donation, which was $217,226 $100.12.
Mhm.
So that leads to something I wanted to ask you, sir. When is a donation not a donation anymore? When you have the actual sponsor of the event donating the most money throughout it all. Now, if it was other, side sponsors or side companies, donating, I could probably understand that. But the next donation after that was two donations by a donator named Fangamer, one for 7,000 and one for 4,000, equaling $11,000. But that was in a 4-day stretch. The first one, the latter one was on the 8th, and the former one was on the 12th. So I just wanted to
So
ask
let
that question to you, sir.
so let me ask. I mean, is it possible,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just let me know that people gave the money to him to put in the donation?
Get, who give who?
So you said that you asked me how does it stay a donation if it's the person who's running the donation if they're putting money in?
No, 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 no. It's one of their biggest sponsors, which is the Yeti, which is an apparel company.
I mean, you said Yeti, isn't that the people that make the cups also? Is that the same company?
I believe so. Yes.
So I mean, if it's your sponsor, I mean, I don't know.
I
That's a
mean,
tough one.
the last day of the event, they donated. This is on actually no, the first day of the event, on the 7th. They donated, and I'm going from earliest to the last one of that day on the 7th of January. 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and the last one was $3,850.
Now, let me ask. I mean, could it have possibly been that they had this agreement? That
And that's
maybe.
possible. I don't think there's anything transparent about that,
Hmm.
but like that's a lot of money.
It is. There's no question about it. It definitely is a lot of money, but I mean, ultimately, if you're going to donate money and get public that exposure, because
Well,
you're like,
they're
oh,
going to
hey,
get exposure because they're, the not the runners, but like
sponsor.
the people who are, moderating the event are talking about the Yeti. So it's not like they're not getting that exposure.
So I mean, you're gonna donate. So I guess with that exposure comes the money. I mean, you're gonna, hey, we'll talk about your product, but you have to give us a certain amount of money. And maybe they said, hey, well, we'll give up, 40 or 50 thousand dollars
Hmm.
for this event. I mean, sometimes it's like that. They might most likely get that money back somehow. I mean,
And
it,
that's
these,
that's what I wanted to get your take on with that.
well, I think it's still good. I mean, what was the cause for this year? Because I know every year there's a cause, isn't there?
Yeah, I believe this one is. Let me make sure actually. I thought it was Doctors Without Borders, but it could be the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It's one of the two.
Okay, so
So
I
like the
mean,
cause is
you
still good.
you think about it like this: if you're giving $50,000 to, let's say, the American Cancer Society,
Hmm.
so you're on this Twitch stream, you're giving up $50,000. This is going to give you an opportunity to say, hey, American Cancer Society,
Yes. Oh, it is
uh,
for the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
right. So we want to partner with you in the future, so we're going to go ahead and participate in this event just to have that notoriety in that public exposure. So they're not going to just talk about it. We're going to give up money. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, even though we might wind up getting this money back, like I said. But we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to say, hey, if you have any events in the future, we would love to know, so we can support. And you think about it, if Yeti joins forces somehow with American Cancer Society, say, hey, every time you buy a Yeti, $1 goes to American Cancer Society. That's going to increase their brand and going to increase their income overall, because people are going to start buying Yetis now specifically so that that dollar can go to the American Cancer Society. That's just how a lot of things work. But I mean, as far as it being right, I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's okay. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it's okay.
That's fair enough.
I can't say I hate it.
And one thing that I will actually say, so they usually finish the event with like something really long like a Super Metroid or like last AGDQ, I believe they did it for Undertale, which is actually incredible. It was actually
Mm-hmm.
it was actually a game that nearly made me cry. It was actually a really great game to watch. Um,
Mm.
but their last block before they got to the final game, which was Super Metroid, was a Mario block, which they played two Mario Hack games, and then they played Mario Odyssey.
Hmm.
So that was something really interesting. They usually keep, Mario towards the middle of the week,
Mm-hmm.
but they had it towards the end of the week. So that was something really interesting.
That's cool.
I mean, they had like little blocks, but like they usually have like a really long block of Mario games, but they had it pretty spread it out.
That's sweet. That
But
they changed it up.
slightly, but kudos to them raising $2.4 million. Looking forward to see what they do with the Summer Games done quick, which is going to be in June from the 23rd to the 30th. So once we get close to that, I'll make sure to remind everyone, including that podcasting beast across from me.
That's right.
So, A, we can see what games are being played to see if there's any interest there. And B, we can also provide the links for those that are interested in learning about speedrunning and, enjoy donating for a cause. We'll put all those links out there once it gets there.
Fantastic.
But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show. Make sure you hit subscribe, join our notification squad on YouTube. Drop a comment too if you like anything that we're talking about. Explain to us why. If you disagree, also explain to us why too. I mean, even if you think there were a couple of piss ants, you know, trolling it works. I mean, just expect to get trolled back.
Absolutely.
Like we're just gonna be completely on. We'll troll you back.
Transparent. Yeah, I will troll you, sir.
But
Or
also,
madam.
follow our social media, facebook.com/debate amongst friends. Follow our group at facebook.com/group/debate amongst friends. On our Twitter, at debate amongst friends. Myself at Kin86, the doc at TL double. Instagram, Periscope. Shout out to our Periscope crew out there at Debate Amongst Friends. Listen to the podcast offline on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, any and all podcast devices. You can follow myself on Instagram at Professor John Gotti, the doc at TL Double. Catch us every single Wednesday night right here on YouTube, and we're going to put out clips of the show so you can listen to it in particular orders, however you want, or if you want to listen to the whole show all at once for you, the people.
Boom.
Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and as we always say, goodbye, mwah, and to all a good night.